You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, every single day. The report sits untouched. The project gathers digital dust. The conversation you need to have remains unspoken. And somehow, tomorrow never comes. But here's the paradox that psychology rarely mentions. The choice to wait isn't just delaying action. It's quietly deciding who you will and won't become. Picture this moment. It's Sunday night, and you're staring at everything you promised yourself you'd accomplish this weekend. The weight of unfinished tasks presses against your chest like a familiar ache. You know what needs to be done. You even want to do it. But something invisible holds you back, and you convince yourself that Monday will be different. Monday is always different, until it isn't. What you're experiencing isn't laziness. It's not weakness. It's your brain protecting you from something far more threatening than hard work. Psychology calls this temporal disconnection. Your present self and your future self live in completely different worlds. And right now, your present self is winning a war that your future self will pay for. Here's what no one tells you about procrastination. It's not about time management. It's about emotion regulation. Every time you avoid a difficult task, you're choosing immediate emotional comfort over long-term psychological growth. Your brain calculates this trade-off in milliseconds. The anxiety of starting feels unbearable. The relief of avoiding feels necessary. But this calculation is broken. It favors comfort now over clarity later. Research from thousands of participants reveals something haunting. Chronic procrastinators regret more across every area of life: work, love, health, purpose. The temporary pleasure of avoidance gets purchased with years of accumulated regret. And regret has a cruel mathematics. When we don't take action, our imagination fills the gaps with everything that could have been. And imagination has no mercy for lost time. And this is where it turns from habit to identity. Procrastination literally rewires your brain. Each time you choose avoidance, you strengthen neural pathways that make future avoidance easier. You're not just delaying tasks, you're training yourself to become someone who delays. The habit becomes identity. The pattern becomes personality. Psychology reveals the mechanism behind this self-sabotage. It's called temporal motivation theory. Your brain weighs motivation using a simple formula. The value of a task multiplied by your confidence you can complete it, divided by how far away the deadline feels. When deadlines are distant, motivation approaches zero. When panic sets in, motivation spikes. But by then, you're operating from desperation, not capability. Consider Sarah, the brilliant student who spent months avoiding her senior thesis. Each day she delayed, the task grew more terrifying in her mind. When she finally started, panic replaced precision. Her rushed work earned mediocre grades, closing doors to graduate programs she'd dreamed about for years. 5 years later, she traces her career limitations back to those months of avoidance. The cost wasn't just academic. It was the entire trajectory of her professional life. And what she lost wasn't time. It was the version of herself that could have existed. This is where most people miss the deeper truth. Procrastination isn't really about the tasks we avoid. It's about the future self we refuse to protect. When you procrastinate, your present self benefits while your future self suffers. You're essentially betraying someone who doesn't exist yet, but will have to live with every choice you make today. And when that person finally arrives, it's too late to apologize. The scariest part isn't the missed deadlines or the mounting stress. The real tragedy is the moment of realization that years have passed without meaningful progress. Time becomes your enemy instead of your ally. You cannot rewind those lost months, those wasted opportunities, those conversations that never happened because you were always preparing to be ready tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't waiting, it's watching. But awareness changes everything. Once you see procrastination for what it really is, temporary mood regulation that sacrifices long-term potential, you can't unsee it. The choice becomes conscious instead of automatic. You start recognizing the moment when your brain offers you the false comfort of delay, and in that recognition, you find your power. Each pause becomes an invitation, each hesitation a chance to choose differently. You've just seen the mechanism. The next move is yours. You don't need to shout to be understood. You just need the right space to think clearly. That's what rational depth is. A quiet corner for thinking minds who still believe awareness can change everything. If you felt something here, subscribe. Quietly, thoughtfully,